أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Can everyone please raise their hand if they can hear me okay? Okay, brilliant. That's fine, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to select A5103. A5103.
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum. Could you please recite prayer number 3, please?
Which one's that?
This one over here.
اللهم إني أسألك علما نافعا.
Jazakallah. And translation, please.
Oh Allah, I ask you for beneficial knowledge.
Okay, Jazakallah. Thank you very much. Okay, so we had one question at the end of yesterday's lesson. I'll address that question in the next 10 to 15 minutes-ish, just to see if there are any more students that are going to join the class. So inshallah, we'll clarify that point that was raised at the end of yesterday's lesson. And we are going to continue with our recitation practice and our application of the Waqf rules from Surah Qaf. So this week we have done up until almost the second ruku, so I think we stopped at around verse number 24 yesterday. So we're going to continue with that, and I'm going to ask A5103 again, and also a student from Nasirat, N6124. So I'll come to A5103 first. Okay, so A5103, could you please have a look at verse number 24, so starting from waqala. So the first highlighted word, could you please perform waqf on that word?
قرينه.
Very good. And just explain to the other students, what change are you making on the ha in qarinuhu when you're pausing?
I'm dropping the symbol that's on top of it, and so I'm just reading it as a blank.
Okay, so you're adding the, yeah, jazm or sukoon, yeah. Okay, brilliant. And if you could please recite the verse from start to finish from waqala.
وقال قرينه هذا ما لدي عتيد.
Okay, Jazakallah. And on this word over here, if you're going to pause on ladayya, how would you read that?
I would say لدي.
Yeah, very good. So again, the ya is going to take a sukoon. And if you could please recite the next verse.
ألقيا في جهنم كل كفار عنيد.
Yep, brilliant, Jazakallah. So if you stay with me for a moment, and I'm going to select a different student and get them to recite, and I want you to mark their recitation, okay? So let me have... Okay, let's have A1132. Is A1132 with us today?
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum. A1132, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. So A5103, what I want you to do is, in this verse over here, if you can select any word that you want A1132 to pause on.
Where it says mu'tadin.
Okay, so mu'tadin is your word. How are you going to pause on that, A1132?
معتد.
Yep, brilliant. Could you pick another word in that verse?
What is mana'in?
Okay, manna'in. How would you pause on that? A1132.
منّا.
Yep. So what are you doing on the ain when you're pausing?
Putting spoon.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so could you please recite this whole verse, and then A5103, please look out for any mistakes if there are any.
من أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم مناع للخير معتد مريب.
The A5103, I've highlighted this point. Do you know why I might have highlighted that? What could have been his mistake there?
The mistake was that he said inlil instead of illil.
Okay, so A1132, do you understand that when you're joining this tanween on the ain, when you're joining it with a lam mushaddad, it's going to be complete assimilation. So you're not going to hear that tanween sound at all. So lil khairi rather than lil. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So read the verse again and just pay attention to this point.
Okay. مناع للخير معتد مريب.
A5103, are you happy with that, or could there have been any other improvement, do you think?
It should be a bit more tighter, so it should sound more natural. So mana'in lil khayri.
Yeah. So on the lam, just remember you're stressing that lam when you're doing it. Lil khairi. Okay. Read one more time, please.
Okay. مناع للخير معتد مريب.
So what you're doing is you're reading the ain as if there's a kasra, and then you're reading it this lam as if there's no shadda on it. So you're reading as ilil. But what you want to do is you're merging these two sounds together. Manna illil khairi. Okay? Illil. Try to just read these first two words again.
Okay. مناع للخير.
Yeah. Okay, that was better. Good. Okay, so we're gonna do a role reversal. So this time, A1132. If you can look in the next verse and give A5103 a word to perform. So in the first line or in this second line up to here. Any word.
So I choose Allah.
Ja'ala. Okay, so you're choosing Ja'ala. You're A1133, yeah?
Yep.
Okay. So Ja'ala, A5103, how are you pausing on that word?
Ja'al.
Brilliant. Okay. And another one, please. A1133.
Okay. Where it says Lakiyatu.
Oh, okay. Over here for Alqiyahu. Are you talking about this one here?
Yep.
Okay. So for Alqiyahu, how are you going to pause at the end of this word?
فألقيه.
Okay. A little bit longer. So remember, it's 2 seconds there. Just read it one more time.
فألقيه.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay. I just wanted to check. Are you pressing any buttons at the moment, A5103?
I don't think so.
Because it keeps on coming up with the remote control, so I don't know if that's being on accident. Let me just...
I don't think that's me.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. And one more word, please, A1133.
There you go, gone.
Bishaddi.
Okay, so bishadid. So ashadid is your word, and again, how are you pausing on that? A5103.
الشديد.
Okay, brilliant. And if you could read the verse from start to finish, and A1133, you can look out for if there are any mistakes.
Okay.
الذي جعل مع الله إلها آخر فألقياه في العذاب الشديد.
So what do you think, A1133? Do you think there were any points that you picked up on, or is it okay?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay, brilliant. Jazakallah. Thank you both very much. That was
عليك
good
يا أخت.
recitation and very good reading as well. So Jazakumullah to both of you. Let's try Nasirat this time. So I'm going to pick N6124. Assalamu alaikum, N6124. N6124, can you hear me? N6124? No? Okay. Let's have N6104 instead. N6104. Assalamu alaikum. N6104.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Could you please, in this verse over here, so you've got the word highlighted here, could you please read it first of all, just without performing waqf on it?
Ilahan
Yeah, let me just separate that. So the word is actually just ilahan because that's the next word. So ilahan, if you're going to pause on it, remember this is a fathatain. So remember the case that has the fathatain. It's different to kasratain and dhammatain. How would you read this if you're pausing on it?
is it ilaha?
Yeah, very good. Excellent. So remember that with fathatain, it's going to be 2-second prolongation. Okay, so in the next verse, Rabbana is the word I'm giving you. So how would you pause on that?
Rabbana.
Yep, brilliant. So again, we've got alif madda. It's a madda letter at the end. And remembering yesterday's lesson, we have no change when there's an alif madda letter or a lean letter. Okay, the next word, if you can read it first of all without stopping.
أتغيته.
Yep, and if you're going to pause there.
أتغيته.
Excellent. And this word over here, first of all without stopping.
في ضلال.
Yep, and if you're going to make a pause.
في ضلال.
Yep, very good. So do you remember the rule regarding the small meme? Do you remember what you have to do when you're joining these two words together?
Do you say dalam?
So you still say the lam. What you're going to not say is the kasratain. So you're not going to hear that tanveen sound. Instead, it's going to be replaced by a meme sound, and you're going to also pause for 2 seconds when joining with the ba. So rather than dhalalin ba'id, we're going to read it as dhalalim ba'id. Okay? So
Okay.
replace it with a small meme and 2-second pausing. So if you could please read from qala up until the end of verse 28.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال قرينه ربنا ما أطغيته ولكن كان في ضلال بعيد.
Very good, Jazakillah. I'm quite happy with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select another student and then you will mark their recitation. So I'm going to have N6103. Assalamu alaikum, N6103.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so N6103, if you can please read this first highlighted word, and if N6104 can look out for the recitation. First of all, read it without stopping, and then read it again when you're pausing.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تختزموا
Okay. What did you think, N6104?
I think it was right.
Okay. And if you're going to pause there, how are you going to read it, N6103?
تختصموا.
Very good. So are you making any changes there?
No,
And why aren't you making any changes?
because there's a vowel with the spoon thingy on top.
So what does that make this letter? What do we call that letter then?
A.
Begins with an N? You've got the rule right, it's just the wording. So it's a madda letter, yeah? Huruf al-madda, we've got waw madda here, and there's going to be no change to it when we're pausing and when we're reading it continuously. Okay, and could you read the next word? And again, if N6104 can mark.
Okay. لدي.
What did you think, N6104?
It was right.
Was it right? Do you think the ya could have been a little bit shorter? And if so, why do you think it could have been a bit shorter?
Yeah, because it doesn't have the a sign. I forgot the name of the sign.
Yep. So just remember, it's just a fatha. So just 1 second. Ladayya. Just 1 second. You read it a bit too long, as if it was maybe like a vertical fatha or something. So just be mindful of how much time you give that letter. If you're going to pause then, N6103, how would you read that?
لدي.
Good. Laday. Good. Okay. And N6104, if you can give her another word towards the end of this verse to pause on.
The ilaykum.
Okay, so you've got ilaykum. How would you pause on that in 6103?
عليكم.
Okay. Do you think that's right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And why is that correct?
Because it already has the sakin on it.
Sukoon, yeah. So it's meme sakin, it's got a sukoon. Brilliant. So we know that if it's already got a sukoon on it, at the end of the word, there's going to be no change when we're pausing. Okay. So if you can recite from the beginning N6103 and then N6104, you mark her.
Okay. قال لا تختصموا لدي وقد قدمت إليكم بالوعيد.
So N6104, what do you think? Were there any mistakes that you picked up on?
No.
No? Okay. I think they weren't as obvious, but the lam on qala was a little bit too long, and also again on the ya in ladayya, that was a little bit too long. So qala la takhtasimu ladayya. Just literally 1 second. It can be a bit tricky when you come to a shadda letter because you're trying to remember to put that stress on it, but you have to also remember that you don't want to prolong it. So yes, emphasis on the ya, but not longer than 1 second. Does that make sense to both of you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. So this time N6103, if you can pick a word for N6104 to read in starting from this verse up to here.
بزلة.
Okay, so zallamin bizallamin. Okay, so if you're going to pause there, how are you going to read that in 6104?
Bizalam.
Yep, excellent. And another letter in this verse, please, in 6103.
ما يبدل.
Okay, so ma yubaddalu. So the word is yubaddalu, and how are you going to pause on that in 6104?
Yubaddal.
Yep, and what are you doing on the lam when you're pausing? So what's replacing the dhamma on the lam?
السكون.
Yeah, okay. Are you happy with that, N6103?
Yes.
Okay, great. So again, N6104, if you can recite from start to finish, or verse number 30.
ما يبدل القول لدي وما أنا بظلام للعبيد.
Were you happy with that, N6103? Were there any mistakes that you might have picked up on? Anything at all?
No.
No? Okay. There's just one point that I wanted to raise. I think it came up yesterday as well. So remember, with this particular word, ana, this is a very specific word in the Holy Quran, which means I. And whenever it appears, we don't actually prolong. So this is an exception to that rule of the madda letters. Ordinarily, we might think that it's a madda letter which has to be prolonged for 2 seconds, but it's very specific to this word only, ana. Okay, so wama ana bidhallamil abid. I think we might bidhallamil abid. Sorry, I think we did this verse actually yesterday, unless it was a similar verse previously. But just remember, with that word ana, it's not going to be prolonged for 2 seconds. Okay. Okay. So let's have one more word then, N6103, if you can give your partner. This time from this verse, from Naqulu.
وتقول.
Okay, so Taqulu is your word, and how are you going to pause on that, N6104?
وتقول
Yeah, okay, brilliant. And again, if you can read from Yawma until the end of the verse.
يوم نقول لجهنم هل امتلأت وتقول هل من مزيد.
Okay, are you happy with that, N6103? Anything that you wanted to bring up?
It's fine.
Yep. Okay, brilliant. Jazakumullah. Thank you, both of you. That was well read, and
Jazakallah.
Jazakumullah, and good marking on your part. So I believe yesterday it was N6119 who asked the question. Yep. So N6119 asked yesterday about case number 3 and case number 8. So her question was, it was a good question because she picked up on the details of the cases that we're looking at. So what her question was basically that in case number 3, we see that the final letter's got a kasra or inverse dhamma, and it takes a sukoon when you're pausing. And her argument was that when we look at case number 8, this example as well over here, it's got a vertical kasra on it, so why doesn't it take a sukoon here? And the basic answer to that was that this word in particular, it's basically an exception to that rule. So in Talimul-Quran, you can see the reference just at the bottom of the screen over here. So in Talimul-Quran, Hafiz Saab has explained this in a bit more detail, and he's basically mentioned 3 examples of where that does not apply. So where there's going to be no change. So remember that case number 8, this is to do with examples where there's going to be no change in the recitation. So in terms of prolongation, yas'a will still remain 2 seconds, and yuhyi, it's still going to remain 2 seconds when you're pausing as well. So tuhyi, yuhyi, and nuhyi, these are the 3 examples that have been given in Tahsin al-Quran, and this is on page, I think it is 117. You should be able to see on the screen, that's page 117, and it's just been mentioned that these are essentially, they're sort of exceptions to that rule. So when pausing, just remember these 3 words, they will still be prolonged the same amount of time. So that was basically the answer to that. I'm just going to try and get N6119, are you there?
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Does that make sense to you? Do you understand that?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's basically this is one of the 3 exceptions as mentioned over here. Okay. So just remember that there's no change in the recitation when pausing. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, Jazakallah.
Jazakallah.
Jazakumullah. So good looking out. This shows that you're really paying attention to the details of the lesson, and it was a very valid point to raise because technically that should follow the pattern of the other cases. But I've just put a little dot here to remind us for future classes as well that this is one of the few exceptions that is mentioned in Talimul-Quran. Okay, so if we go back to the lesson, again, if you have questions, do raise your hand. This is why I don't usually encourage people to raise their hands just to be picked. It's more so if you have a genuine question or need clarification on any point. So that makes it clear to me that someone has a question rather than someone wants to be picked. So if you do have a question that with regards to the lesson, please only use the hand raising button for that. So I'm just going to unmute. N6129, do you have a question that you want to ask?
Yes. On case 9 or 8, it said the word harakat or something.
Is it this one over here, mutaharrik?
No, on case. Can you go on case 9, please?
Yeah. Can you see
What's the haruf al-madda?
So huruf al-madda, just give me 1 second. So let's go to course number 2, lesson 1, and okay. So huruf al-madda is something that we covered in the first lesson, lesson number 1, which is 20 common errors. And huruf al-madda is basically those letters of prolongation. So those letters that you're going to give 2 seconds of prolongation, okay? So that was alif, waw, and ya. And the way that we recognize them is, so you can see over here, this is actually an example of huruf al-madda. This is a waw, it's got a sukoon, and the way you recognize it is because the letter before is carrying the dhamma stroke, okay? So when you read this word, read the full word for me first. N6129, are you still there? Let me try again. Okay. N6129, can you hear me? Seems to have frozen. Let's try again. N6129, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, so could you please read this word highlighted here?
Kafaru.
So what are you doing at the end of this word?
Prolonging it?
Yeah, brilliant. So the reason you're prolonging it is because you've got a waw madda at the end. And as discussed, alif, waw, and ya, they are the 3 madda letters. The way you recognize them, for a waw madda, the letter before carries the dhamma. For a alif madda, can you see here the letter before has got a fatha stroke? And if you have a ya madda, the letter before is going to carry a kasra stroke, okay? So basically, huruf al-madda are just those letters that you're prolonging for those 2 seconds, okay?
Okay.
Okay, was that clear? Did you have any other questions?
No, that's fine, thank you.
Okay, Jazakallah. N6136, did you have a question?
Yes, it's on case 5.
Yeah.
It says that if any letter bears a fatatain, it will change into a alif madda or vertical fatha. How do you know whether it will change into a alif madda or a vertical fatha? Like, how do you recognize which one it changes into?
To be honest, it doesn't really matter. So you don't really need to be concerned with which one of the two it turns into, just because there's no actual change in the way that you're reading it. So all you basically just need to be aware of is that it's going to be the 2 seconds, basically. Okay?
Okay, Jazakallah.
No problem. And we have one final question from either N6114 A5113.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum assalam. What would you like to ask?
If there was something jazm and then there was a shadda on the next letter, how would you pause it?
Repeat that again for me, please.
If there was something with a jazm on and a shadda on the next letter, how would you pause it?
So if there was a word with a jazm or sukoon and then a fatha on the next letter, how would you pause on it?
The shadda.
A fatha. Hold on. So I think you might be talking about case number 10. Can you think of any examples where that might be the case? That might be easier to explain it to you.
So if there was a jazm on the letter and then on the next letter was an shadda.
On a shadda, okay. So if you look, so this in case number 2, this is to do with the shadda letters. I don't know if this is what you mean. So are you talking about if the shadda is the final letter?
Yes, and that was the jazm before it. How would you pause it?
So if you're going to pause on a letter that carries a shadda, very simply, it's just going to take a sukoon, but you're just going to remember to put some emphasis on that letter because it's still got a shadda. So for example, can you read this one for me, please?
Jazm.
Yeah. And if you're going to pause, it's going to become yadhun.
Jazm.
Yeah. So remember, you've put the sukoon on there, but you are going to make a bit of a nasal sound, so the ghunna sound, which comes from your nose, because this is noon mushaddad. This is a noon with a shadda. So we know with noon and mim mushaddad, when they carry the shadda, they have that nasal sound. Even if it's not mim or noon. So for example, here you can see that this has got a ya with a shadda. When you're pausing, an-nabiyyu becomes an-nabiy. Okay. Yeah, an-nabi. So you're going to put that emphasis still, even though there's a sukoon on there. Okay.
Okay.
Is that clear? Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, Jazakumullah. Thank you for your questions. I'll see if we get chance later on in the lesson to take some more questions. What we'll do is we will continue then with our recitation, and I am going to choose. Let's have a look. I think I'll choose from Atfal. I'll have A5117. A5117, can you hear me? Assalamualaikum. A5117.
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum. Could you please read this word over here for me and then read it when pausing?
Il-jannatu.
Okay, so the first question I have is obviously this word before is ending with a ta with a kasra. If you're just looking at this word on your own, how would you figure out what stroke to put on that alif? Because right now it's a blank alif, it hasn't got a fatha dhamma or kasra on it. Do you know how you would work out what stroke to put on that alif?
You look at the third letter behind it and then put that one on.
Okay, it's a good guess, but it's not quite what I would say is the correct method. So what you do is, this alif, you look at the next letter. So the next letter here is a lam with a sukoon on it. When you have a lam with a sukoon or a lam with a shadda on it, the alif is going to take a fatha. Okay, so in this example, the next letter is a lam with a sukoon, so it's taking a fatha. So the way that you're reading it is al-jannatu. Okay, if there wasn't that lam sakin or lam mushaddad, you look at the next letter after that, which has a stroke, and then you figure it out, okay? So al-jannatu. So if you're going to pause there, how are you going to read this word?
Al-Jannah.
Yep, very good. Lil-muttaqina, how would you pause on that word?
Lil-Muttaqeen.
Very good. Ba'idin, how would you pause on that word?
Ba'id.
Very good. Uzlifati, how would you pause on that?
Uzlifa. Uzlifat.
Fat, or remember this is just a fatha, so it's not going to be long, just uzlifat. Okay. That is that's our case number 1. It's just got a kasra, so it's taking a sukoon. So it will just be uzlifat. Okay. Let's have a look. Okay, what about biqalbin? How would you pause on biqalbin?
Biqalb.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so over here, if I wanted to start reading from this verse, this is a small noon qutni. How am I going to start this verse again?
Idkhulu.
And how did you work that out? How did you apply that stroke on the alif?
Because the K the ka has K has dhamma.
So if it's got a dhamma, what stroke are we putting on the alif then?
Dhamma.
Yep. So how are you going to read it?
Nadkhuluha bisalim.
So it's not going to be nud. So when we start a verse, we don't read that small noon. If you're carrying on from munibi, then yes, you would read it munibi nidkhuluha. But because this verse has ended and you're now starting again, you're not going to read that small noon. So the sound is going to be udkhulu, not nudkhulu, okay? Does that make sense? Do you understand that?
Yep.
Okay, so udkhulu. Okay, how about over here? Yasha'una. How are you going to pause on there?
Yasha'un.
Okay, very good. What about waladaina?
Waladayna.
Yep, so that was correct. So remember, this is alif madda, and we don't change it with alif madda. Mazidun, how would you pause on there?
Munzid.
Read that one more time.
Manzid.
Okay, so mazid. Qablahum.
Qablahum.
Read it again.
Qablahum.
Yeah, good. What do you think you did wrong the first time round when you were reading
I
that?
prolonged the lam.
Yep. Qarnin, how would you pause on that?
Qarn.
Ashaddu.
Ashad.
Ashad. Just vibrate that dal. Ashad.
Ashad.
Good. Could you read from Wakam Ahlakna until the end of this verse?
Wakam ahlakan. Wakam ahlakna qablahum min qarinin hum ashaddu minhum batshan fanakabu fil bilad.
Yep, good. And
Hal mimma he's.
good. So there's one, you corrected yourself over here. Read this word again for me. So these two words.
Qarnin hum.
Yeah, good. So you corrected yourself the second time round. Well done. Okay, how about over here? How would you pause on that?
La zikri. La zikra.
Yep, excellent. So if we look back at case number over here, so remember that even if it's got a blank ya after it, it's still going to be 2 seconds of prolongation. So la dhikra. How about on qalbun? How would you pause there?
Qalb.
Okay. What about o alaqa? So the word is alaqa. How would you pause on alaqa?
Al al
So it's fatha, and then there's a blank ya following it. I actually gave you the answer when I read it.
al
So,
alaka alaka
yeah, so it's alaqa. So when you're just reading it without stopping, how do you read this word?
alaka
So
alak
there's remember not
al
to. Yeah.
al alka
So when you're reading it continuously, it's actually just going to be alqa. Because think about it, alqa sam'a. It's not being prolonged at all if you're continuously reading it. But you're right, if you're going to stop there, remember it's going to take a vertical fatha, so you would read it as alqa. So alqa if you're reading it continuously, and alqa, prolonging it 2 seconds if you're reading it when stopping. Does that make sense?
yeah
Okay. How about as-sam'a? How would you pause on as-sam'a?
asma
Read it one more time. First of all, what's the ayn going to take? What stroke is that going to take when you're stopping?
and the jazm
Yep. So the letter before, it's also got a jazm, or it's also got a sukoon on it. So if you're putting a jazm on both of them, how are you reading this word? It's a little bit tricky, but it's case number 10.
asma
Almost there. So you want the ayn sound at the end to come in a little bit. As-sam'a.
asma
As-sam'a. So let me just go to the explanation. So if you've got 2 muted letters in succession, so for example over here you've got wal fajri, and if you're pausing there, you're still going to read the ra, but you're not going to apply any stroke on it. So it will just be wal fajr, wal fajr. So you can kind of hear the ra. Again, ashrin becomes ashr, amrin, amr. Okay, so when you're pausing on that word, you're still going to hear a bit of the ayn. As-sam'a becomes as-sam'a. Can you slightly hear that ayn at the end?
yeah
Yeah? Okay, brilliant. Shahidun, what would that change to?
shahid
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Jazakallah. A5117, yeah?
yeah
Okay, Jazakallah. Thank you very much. That was well read. Let's have from Nasrat. Let's have. See if I can try N6124 again. Assalamu alaikum. N6124.
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Could you please read this verse starting from walaqad?
Yes.
Starting with A'udhu Billah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولقد خلقنا السماوات والأرض ونبهناهما
So on this word, merge these 2 sounds together. So you've got ba with a fatha, and then you've got a ya sakin. So this is a lean letter. So bainahuma. Read the whole word together.
بينهما.
Yeah, very good. And over here as well. So this word, al-arda, this is all one word. So when you're reading it, try not to take a breath in between. So wal-arda, okay?
والأرض.
Yeah. So read from here up until the end of this word.
Should I start from what?
Yeah, so start from wal-arda.
والأرض وما بينهما.
Yep, well done. Carry on with fi.
في ستة أيام.
Read just this one again. No waw there, just alif.
أيام.
Yep. With all of these letters, you see the small W on all of these letters. Where you see this shadda sign appearing, put extra stress. Sittati ayyamin. Okay? Sittati ayyamin. So read this word again, please.
ستة أيام.
Very good. And carry on from wama.
وما مسنا من لغوب.
Oh, sorry, did you read as lughub?
Yes.
So you stopped it. Okay. That's fine. Over here, so you've got a noon sakin and you're joining it with this lam mushaddad. So it's not going to be min lughub because you're when you join this together, you're not going to hear this noon at all. So it's going to be mil lughub. Okay? Not min lu, but mil lughub. So just read again from wama up until the end of the verse.
وما مسنا من لغوب.
Mil lughub.
لغوب.
Okay, good. So I just wanted to go back because this is more revision of the previous lesson. So do you remember in lesson number 1 we went through a couple of different letters and 2 things that we went through. It was lam with a shadda, so lam mushaddad, and also ra with a shadda sign, ra mushaddad. So when you have these 2 and before that you have either a noon sakin, so the noon with this sukoon sign, or you have a letter with a tanveen on it. When you join that tanveen or that noon sakin with a lam mushaddad or ra mushaddad, you're not going to hear that noon sound at all. You're not going to hear that tanveen sound. So when you merge them together, it's not going to be shidadun la. We're not hearing that tanveen. Instead, how do you think you're going to read it if you're not hearing that tanveen sound?
شدلا.
So try again. So shidadulla.
شدادلا.
Yeah. And over here, how are you going to read it? So remember, you're not reading the noon sakin. You're just joining this with the lam mushaddad. How do you think you'll read that?
ملا.
Yeah, very good. And in this example, again, you're not reading this noon sakin. You're joining the meme with the kasra with the ra mushaddad. So how are you reading that one?
من ربي.
Very good. And the final example, again, not reading the noon sakin. How are you going to read this word?
ميلادنك.
Yeah, put a bit more emphasis on this because it's a shadda. Milladunka.
ميلادنك.
Yeah, very good. So in exactly the same way, you've got over here, you've got lam mushaddad and you've got that noon sakin. So when you're joining that, you're not going to read that noon sound. So just read this word again, please.
ملغوب.
Yeah, very good. Millugub, excellent, very good. Okay, so how about on this word here? First read it without pausing. How would you read this?
Should I start from ta or ma?
Just from ta.
Tashakkaku.
Very good. And if you're going to pause?
Tashakkak.
So you're not going to make it longer. This is going to take a sukoon, and it's going to vibrate a little bit. Tashakkak.
Tashakkak.
Yeah. Try to make the qaf sound vibrate a little bit. Tashakkak.
Tashakkak.
Yeah. The reason I told you not to read from the meme is because that's actually part of the previous word. So that word is yawma, and then the next word is tashaqqaqu. How about on here, anhum? How would you pause on that? So remember, either there'll be a change or there might not be a change. So which of the two do you think it might be?
Anhum.
Yeah, very good. So remember again, there are two cases where there's no change in the recitation. The first one is if you have a madda letter or a lien letter, and the second is if the last letter already has a sukoon, then again there's going to be no change. So you can see here the meme, it's got a sukoon already, so there's no change. How about sira'an? What do you think will change there? So this time it's a fathatain.
Would it change to Sirah?
Not quite. So it's not going to take a sukoon. It would only take a sukoon if the last letter was a kasratain or a dammatain. So for example here, qaribin would become qarib, or hashrun would become hashr. But over here, remember fathatain has got a different rule to those two. So it's a different situation. So what do you think you might do to it to pause on it?
Sirah.
Not quite, not quite. So you're still reading the ain. What's basically going to happen is it's going to be 2 seconds of prolongation that you're going to take. So sira'an would become sira'a. Okay, so you're prolonging that for 2 seconds. So you can see that in case number, let's go back. Yeah, so you see here, abwaban is a similar situation. Sorry, let me go back. So sira'an.
Yeah.
Abwaban, they're both similar things. They've got fathatain at the end. They become 2 seconds of prolongation. Tuwan would become tuwa, nisa'an would become nisa'a. So just remember that it's going to be 2 seconds with a fathatain. Yeah?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, how about on... Let's have a look. As-sayhata. As-sayhata. How would you pause on that?
As-sayhat.
Not hat. So this again is an exception. If it was just a plain a fatha on a different letter, then yes, it would take a sukoon. But this is specific to the ta marbuta. Do you know what sound it converts into if you're pausing there?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure. Not to worry. So the case that we're looking at is case number 6. With this specific ta marbuta, it's going to change into sukoon, and it's actually going to become a ha sound. So when you're pausing here, it becomes as-sayha. Okay, so this is ha sakin in the end. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. How about on Elena?
Elaine?
Not Elaine. So again, this is an example of when there will be no change because this is an alif madda on the attached to the noon. So with madda letters and lien letters, there's no change on the when you're pausing. So Elena still when you're pausing. How about on? How about Ash-Shamsi? How would you pause on that?
Asham?
Try to get a bit of the sin sound on. So this is going to take a sukoon. We're not going to take away the letter altogether. We're just going to read it very slightly. So Ash-Shams. Okay?
Ashams.
Yeah. We're not going to put any stroke on it. We're just going to hear the letter slightly in a muted form. So Ash-Shamsi becomes Ash-Shams. What about Al-Layli?
Alayl.
Yeah, very good. And finally, what about let's have يقولون.
Yaqulun.
Yeah, Brilliant. Okay, Jazakillah. Thank you very much.
Jazakallah.
Jazakillah. And just one student from Atfal to read at the end. Let's have A5 1 2 1. A5 1 to 1. Could you please read the 2 lines of the concluding prayer?
Allahumma arhamni bil Quran al-Azim. Baj al-Huli Imam Mavanu Rabba Hudawa Rahmatan.
So 2 things. First of all, when you're joining the tanween sound or noon sound with the waw mushaddad, you're going to hear the noon sound come through slightly. So imaman wa, nuran wa, hudan wa. Okay? So just read again from imaman wa to the end.
Imaman wa
Nuran wa.
warwa huda matan.
So again, you read it correctly on the first one, but all of these, if you can see, it's got a tanween there and then joining with waw mushaddad. Tanween and joining with waw mushaddad. So in all of these cases, when you're joining it, it's going to have a slight nasal sound when you join it. So not mavva, because we're still hearing the tanween slightly. Imaman wa, nuran wa, hudan wa. And then when you're pausing, remember again with the ta marbuta, it becomes rahmah. So وَجَعَلْهُ لِي إِمَامًا وَنُورًا وَهُدًى وَرَحْمَةً. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, and please read the translation.
O Allah, have mercy on me through the great Quran, and make it for me the leader, the light, the guidance, and the mercy.
Okay, Jazakumullah. So please remember again, we're doing the internal assessment next Wednesday. I think I said by accident October yesterday, but it's actually 8th of November. So next Wednesday, 8th of November, G2 is having an internal assessment based on lessons 1 and 2. So keep revising your lessons and keep up with your recitation. And inshallah, see you in tomorrow's lesson. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.